Alright, so I'm going to go through and explain metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. But the first thing that I'm going to do is actually show the periodic table right here to be able to answer these questions. So, the first thing for you to know is just a nice review. The columns in the periodic table, so this is the first column, the second column, these columns are called groups. And so this is group 1, and we call these alkali metals. Group 2 is alkaline earth metals. Okay? And if you'll notice, if I skip over and get to group 3, I'm going to be calling this group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6, group 7, and then group 8. If you notice, it also says 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's another way of writing this, and the reason why they do that is because they don't skip this group right here. All right, but I'm going to, that's just another convention. So this is your alkaline metals, this is your alkaline earth metals, and then you skip all the way across and you've got your halogens for group 7 or group 17, whatever you want to say, and then for group 8 you've got your noble gases. Now the important thing for you to realize, and it shows up really nicely here, in brown you've got your metals. So all of the, or pretty much all of the elements to the left of the ladder are metals. You've got a couple of exceptions. You've got hydrogen here, which is kind of funky, and I'll explain later why hydrogen is a nonmetal and why it's over here and not over there. You've got your you've got your nonmetals to the right, and then you've got these in between on the ladder, guys, which you need to memorize. Just remember the pattern, and then you're good. These are your metalloids. So what I'll ask you on a quiz or test is which ones are metals, which ones are nonmetals, and which ones are metalloids. Remember, a couple of characteristics of metals versus nonmetals. For metals, they conduct electricity. So for metals, you conduct electricity. And I'm just going to write conduct elec. They conduct electricity. And they are actually really easily manipulated. So they are malleable, meaning that you can button them, and they're ductile, meaning that you can pull them into a wire. So they're ductile and they're malleable. Even though they seem to be really hard, they're not compared to other elements. And the last characteristic, which is the most obvious why we like metals like silver and gold, is that they are shiny. And so for nonmetals, they're the exact opposite. So they are not metals, non-metals. They do not conduct electricity. So electricity, they do not conduct it. They are not ductile and malleable, and they are not shiny. Now, the important thing for you to know, you've got metals and you've got non-metals, and then in between that, which the periodic table shows, they're literally in between the non-metals and the metals, you've got metalloids. And metalloids have characteristics of both metals and nonmetals. So metalloids are semiconductors, meaning they aren't great conductors of electricity, but they still do. So semiconductors, all right. Obviously characteristics of metalloids, I'll put void, vary depending on the element that you're dealing with. But all you need to know is that it's in between metal and nonmetal. It has both of those of their characteristics. Now, for identifying them, it's really nice and easy. The only issue is that on your quiz or test, I will not give you this very nicely color-coded periodic table. So the challenging things for this, number one, finding the elements, and the reason why I had you practice in class was just so that you could become comfortable with where everything is. And then also remembering your metalloids, and then that hydrogen's kind of funky and that it's not metal. So tellurium, the first one, we've got tellurium is right here, so that's a metalloid. Metalloid. For sulfur, if you look at it, it is right here. So that's a nonmetal, S, sulfur. Okay. Polonium, which I believe is PO, is right there. And so This is actually kind of funky. This one shows it as being a metal, all right? So polonium is a metal. On my other textbook, it actually shows it as a metalloid, so I'm wondering why, but we're going to say it's a metal based on what we've talked about. And then barium, which is an alkaline earth metal, okay, which is right here, is a metal. All right? So there's a lot for you to remember, so just go through a review, quiz yourself, cover up what we've already done, and that's it.